Connecting with class.
Welcome back to LinkedIn to Lead Generation with Hannah Tighe, and continuing our series here of a four-part series on good touch versus bad touch on LinkedIn. So Hannah, in this episode, what are we going to cover?
Sure. So today we're going to talk about connecting to people and building your network. And specifically, why are you looking to connect to me? Who are you? And does your invite actually explain that to the person that is actually receiving it?
Okay, excellent. So let's break it down into 3 quick bullet points to give people an overview of what we're going to cover, and then we'll dive into those. So what are the 3 takeaways here?
Okay, so again, this is a personalized thing that you're trying to do. You're trying to make a connection where you're going to build a relationship. So you want to at least make sure that you look at the profile, right?
So look at their profile is number 1. What's number 2?
Right. And then the second one is to actually find something in common that maybe you can reference.
Okay.
And then number 3 is explain why you want to connect to them.
Excellent. So those sound very good. So let's look at the good touch versus the bad touch versions of those and work our way through. All right. So you're going to connect to somebody. Why is it important to look at their profile before you connect, and what's the negative way to not do it? What do we not want to do?
Okay. So again, you are looking to make this connection where you're trying to show that you have, number 1, the expertise, which you've done in your profile and everything, and number 2, that you actually have a genuine interest in helping this person, okay? And that's why they want to connect to you. So you want to make sure that you click on their profile, because actually when people log into LinkedIn, especially if they have the premium account, okay, which most people have at this point, not everybody, but they can actually see the list of people who have viewed their profile, okay?
Right. And that's really important, because I think there are actually still people who don't realize that when you click on somebody's profile, if they have the premium version, they definitely can see, that whether you looked or didn't look. And even if you have the free one, there's a pretty good chance that they can see whether you checked or didn't check. They don't see everyone, but so if you didn't check, then how interested are you in me, really, right?
Exactly.
You're a random connect as opposed to somebody who actually looked at what I'm about and then is connecting, right?
Right, exactly. And from there, their profile, then you can hit the connect button and personalize your message.
Right. So obviously, what's the bad touch way of doing this?
The bad touch is when you're just, a little robot that's going connect,
Right.
and they're sending, number 1, it's obvious you haven't viewed their profile. Number 2, it just sends that blanket, I'd like to, connect with you on LinkedIn kind of, generic response. And, there's no personalization, and it's just, you're a robot.
Right.
Why should I care?
And I think this one's really important, because I think you're right, because it's not necessarily obvious. I mean, it's obvious from a social standpoint that you should show interest in somebody, but let's face it, you're on LinkedIn and that button pops up, connect. So it's tempting to just hit the connect button and go from there, and LinkedIn is giving you this default message. So if you're not thinking about what you're doing, I mean, you may not mean to be a robot. You may just sort of be thinking you're following what LinkedIn is telling you to do. Mm-hmm. But we're encouraging people to think through the social side of social media here, right? That it doesn't make you look very good to get that automated message, and just say, all right, it doesn't seem like you really want to connect.
Right, and most people will just ignore that if there's no personalization, because they don't know you. Most likely they don't know you, or they're not going to take the time to see, because they're busy. Everyone's busy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So go the extra mile to look at their profile so that you actually know who you're trying to connect to, and you can make a more meaningful connection. And that leads us right into bullet point number 2, which you said is finding something in common, which you can only do if you've actually looked at the profile. So you got to kind of do part 1 to get to part 2. But doing part 1 allows you to do part 2. So what's the good touch, bad touch version here of pulling something out of that profile?
Sure, exactly. So when you find someone who looks like they're a good prospect for you, you want to take some time. You want to look at them. You want to see maybe you have some common people that you know, mm-hmm. and you can even, use that. Like, hey, I noticed that you're friends with or you're connected to Jim Smith, Jim and I, you know, go way back, blah, 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 right away. That warms up the connection, okay? They feel much more comfortable with you right away. Maybe you share a group in common. Maybe some of your activities are similar. Maybe you have volunteer opportunities that you guys, you know, both participate in. Maybe you're just in similar industries and, you know, you just, you know, can reference that. Whatever it is, find something that you can give them a reason, which is the next thing, as to why you actually want to connect to them.
Absolutely. So obviously, again, the bad touch version is really kind of, again, just hitting that connect button, sending that default message, leaving it impersonal, not really showing me what's the value of my connecting back to you. I mean, so you haven't given me any good reason other than, you know, you hit the button. That's not much of a reason, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's flow right into that third point then. So, you know, what should you say or what shouldn't you say in that you know, that initial reaching out that's going to give me what I want, which is a real connection, right? So what's going to up the odds of success here?
Okay, so again, you know, when you're looking at that profile, using some of the things we talked about before, like, hey, we have this, you know, mutual connection in common. You know, Jimmy and I have done some networking in the past. If you can even say to them, hey, I reached out to Jimmy and he thought that this would be a great connection. You know, I'd love to start a dialogue with you. Whatever. That's one way of doing it, using that common connection.
Right.
If you have similar industries, maybe some strategic. You could do some strategic. You know, sales and things like that. You could say, hey, you know, I love, you know, working with people in, you know, vertical industries, you know, trading some insight back and forth, would love to stay in contact here, you know, would you like to connect? That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is, you know, I noticed in groups, you know, you started some great discussions, blah, 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 blah. If you share a group, you know, love to, stay more in contact with some of your updates, would love to connect. You know, give them that, whatever that common reason is, you know, obviously it has to feel right to you and your personality, but that is, you want to take that reason, that commonality, and try and spin that in a way that's casual and complimentary, but not like, oh, you look like a great person to sell to.
So let's go there. Let's go to the bad touch version of you know, giving people a reason to connect. What does that look like?
Well, obviously, like the first thing, which is when people just connect. It's like, I mean, how many times have you gone in and you say, I'd like to, you know, add you to my network, or I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn, and I'm like, well, why? I mean, I know I'm fabulous, but you don't know that, you know.
Well, and that's the point, right? Because, you know, by doing that, you're putting the workload on me. You know, you're reaching out to me, but now I have to go to look at your profile to figure out why. And why am I going to do that? If I'm the busy one and you're knocking on my door, shouldn't you be the one telling me, instead of assuming that I'm going to make I'm going to do the legwork for us to figure out if we should have a relationship? That doesn't seem like a very good approach, right?
Exactly. And also, it's, you know, people are very, very, some people are very secretive about, you know, connecting to people, very private. And so if you don't give them a reason to connect, they just think that you're randomly going and, you know, being like a robot, and that, you know, there's no personalization. So they just think that you're just randomly trying to connect to people and maybe get access to their network, or maybe show up higher in search, but that there's no real value. There's no value expressed. So that's a bad touch, and it typically just turns people off.
How do you feel about the boilerplate sales letter that is the first outreach that you get in your inbox?
Oh, and that's just so much fun when there's the insert name here.
Well, even if they've got, I love that too. But even if they've successfully like put your name in there, but it's very clearly a boilerplate. I mean, you can tell within the first two lines that this is not a personal message to me. How successful do you feel that is?
Yeah, well, obviously it's not. I mean, because again, people are so, you know, busy, and they're on LinkedIn. The people that are actively working LinkedIn are actively working LinkedIn. They're there to either, you know, create better contacts with people, referral sources, and or maybe they just want to give back some of their own information, learn from the industry, but they're active in it and they're working it hard to make benefit. When you have someone who is so spammy and is just sending you, this stuff, it looks so bad. I can't even tell you how bad it looks. And, if they're just burning bridges before they even start. So they just look so amateurish. So don't do that.
You use the right word. It is spammy, and like all spammers, it's a form of laziness that's just going to try to take a shotgun approach and hope that somebody's going to respond. Okay, what are the odds that whoever responds is going to be a quality part of your network? So, I guess we're probably not speaking to those people right now, Hannah, because they wouldn't actually be trying to improve themselves on LinkedIn. So enough said about them.
We hope not. I got to say, though, there's some really, I've gotten some from, directors of marketing and things like that are
That's
really...
sad. That's sad. So if you're listening, if this is you, don't use bad touch on LinkedIn. It's just not good.
That's bad.
All right, so Hannah, I'm going to wrap us up at this point. This is great. I mean, this is our ongoing series about good touch and bad touch on LinkedIn, which is really important stuff because there is a lot of bad touch going on, and LinkedIn is a powerful place. So people need to use it right. So in this one, we've been talking about the importance of actually looking at the profile before you connect, doing that so that you can find some common ground that's going to allow you to connect. And then actually giving somebody a reason to connect back. Give them that connection, give them that obvious, reason that there's a benefit to them to make this reciprocal connection to you. Do that, and you're going to be much more successful. So, Hannah, I really appreciate these insights. I know they're incredibly valuable to me because I am trying to do a much better job of using LinkedIn, and this is great, valuable stuff. I know it's going to be valuable to the people who are watching this as well. So you want to make sure you come out and get connected to Hannah on her YouTube channel. That's where we're going to keep publishing episodes of LinkedIn to Lead Generation. But more importantly, if this is valuable to you and you want some personal work on your LinkedIn strategy, you want to connect directly with Hannah, and we're about to give you all her contact information up on screen right now. So Hannah, we're going to do another one of these good touch, bad touch episodes real soon, so I look forward to that, and until then, see you later.
Thanks so much.